The following show and its content are the responsibility of the show's producers and participants.
Information related in this program is not meant to substitute medical recommendations. Before starting a treatment program, you should consult your physician.
T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Liftoff.
That's right. Welcome to the Couch Live. Hello, everybody. How you doing? I am the street-certified dope Dr. Louis Delgado. My camera wasn't on me. How about that? No, you're not up yet either. There you are.
Slacking. Are you recording at least?
I was a little late on... Yeah, I am recording.
All right.
I was a little late on something.
I don't think you even did my levels, by the way.
I did it now. Oh, I did your level while we were talking earlier.
Oh, excuse me.
That's right. I can multitask there, Trinity. You are on the Problem Solving Network, WPSN99.com. Hello, everybody. I'm the street-certified dope Dr. Louis Delgado here with you, along with my partner, Trinity Phillips, the Dharma guy. There he is.
Hey,
boom, boom.
What is up?
There you go. All of a sudden, I went to talking really fast, Trinity.
You did.
We're in New Smyrna Beach, Florida. We did not get bothered by Dorian.
Man, it didn't even rain at my house, really.
Told you,
horrible.
Dorian teased the United States, and well, at least Florida, and he pummeled Bahamas.
Oh, man, the Bahamas.
What a bully.
Wow, they got wrecked.
What a bully,
I don't know. Is anybody here? Have you guys ever been to the Bahamas?
That's really sad.
You guys?
Yeah. A lot.
Did you ever go to
Freeport?
Freeport?
Oh, wait, I didn't
at
turn
all?
them up. We didn't introduce them yet, Trini.
I'm just saying.
You're just getting right into
Freeport is where I've been numerous times.
Oh, is that your home?
And so when I watched the videos of Freeport, like I recognized some of the landmarks.
You recognize it?
And I was like, wow. Like they got, wow.
Yeah. That's so
They
sad, dude. I feel so bad for them.
Yeah.
I hated when they just sat there. And I'm thinking,
I've never seen
all
that.
the people, that's like sitting on top of Haiti and attacking Haiti for a long time.
Yeah.
It's a country that cannot deal with it.
Yeah.
Like, that's not even cool. Luckily, Nassau was spared, so at least they have somewhere to go. Because, I mean, it's horrible.
Even Nassau got some stuff, but not as bad as Freeport.
Yeah,
Bahama.
nothing even close. Anyway, we are talking about it takes a village, and it's perfect timing because we're talking about a big hurricane that it takes all the Bahamians to help Bahamas rebuild, and all the United States and everybody that enjoys the Bahamas as well is chipping in. It's really good to see a bunch of people chip in and help out when people get hurt like that and bothered like that. But anyway, this is the Couch Live, our 20th year of running shows. Trinity, tell us who the sponsors are that allow us to keep doing this and talk about it without having to do a commercial break, please, so we can move on with the show.
I'm glad you asked.
Oh, please.
So we got, as usual, our the treatment facilities that we work with, not only as a foundation and a Now Matters More, but also as a network, is Retreat Behavioral Health, Journey Pure, and Gatehouse Treatment. Retreat Behavioral Health has got numerous facilities. Main one is up in Pennsylvania. They got some down in West Palm. Didn't they just open up another one in, you said it last time.
What, Ohio?
Yeah, I think so. Mm-hmm. And then you got Journey Pure. They got they own pretty much Kentucky and Tennessee. They got some here in Florida as well. And then Gatehouse, they are up in, was it New Hampshire, I believe, which we need to go up there still.
Yeah.
We got Orange County Drug Free Coalition, which has been a supporter from day one since for 20 years now.
Right.
And then, as I mentioned earlier, we got the Now Matters More Foundation. We help individuals struggling with the disease of addiction. You can see who we are, what we do, and donate at nowmattersmore.org, or you can call 833-NOW-MATTERS. That's 833-NOW-MATTERS. And last but not least, we have our latest sponsor, which is Sports Subaru South.
Right.
They've got an awesome event coming up between November 15th and December 31st called Share the Love. And they're going to share the love by giving us $500 per car sold in that time frame. So looking forward to that. And then, as always, you can follow us on social media at WPSN99, at the Dharma Guy, at the Dope Doctor, and at Now Matters More while you're at it.
That's right.
There we go. I think I got
very well done, Trini.
Thank you, sir.
All right, everybody. So anyway, we're talking about It Takes a Village here on the Couch Live. We are a show that focuses on addiction and recovery and all things in between. And one of the hardest things that I think that it takes when dealing with this is just getting other people that aren't involved in this space on a day-to-day basis to take it seriously. I mean, there's been a lot of overdoses in the last decade. That's gone up significantly. We had a lot of addictions that didn't normally take place in families that weren't used to it, I guess, for lack of a better way to say it, right?
Sure.
Families that were like, oh, no.
It doesn't happen to us.
I don't know any addicts, and it doesn't happen to us, and I would never. And then all of a sudden, your nephew, your niece, your mom, your grandmother, all of a sudden is dependent on opioids because of our opioid crisis that happened. And all of a sudden, everybody's, I got to say, woke.
Oh, God.
Everybody's woke.
Oh, God. Sure.
Maybe.
You know what, though? I don't know. Maybe they are, maybe they're not. Well, I think I still see a lot of heads buried in the sand, though. I really do.
Regular people.
Yeah.
Regular people.
If you're not in this industry or connected to it, or if you're not directly impacted, like a public official or something, where you don't just see the numbers, I do believe that there's still quite a bit of heads in the sand, where people just kind of aren't paying attention to it.
But I think we got to give our kudos for the first time, Trinity, and you correct me if I'm wrong. Now, we don't have the 10 cities, which you heard me complain about 10 years ago, or at least 5 years ago, 6 years ago, that when this really started kicking in hardcore about, 6-8 years ago?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, I said, where are the 10 cities? You call it a crisis, you call it an epidemic, but there's no 10 city. You know what I mean? There's no, you're not bringing everybody in these makeshift hospitals and just like churning them through at least to get them to the very next day.
The example would be, I don't think the average person can tell you how many people die a year of drug overdoses, or even opiate overdoses for that matter. But I think most people, at least locally, could tell you how many people died of Zika when it happened.
None. How
exactly.
about that? Like 3 people.
But that's my point. Or when Ebola hit,
it
was like 3 people. I think.
Yeah.
I think everybody knew that because it was all over the place. It took over, but yet during that same time frame, 170 people were dying a day of overdoses.
Right.
Nothing.
No, nobody was talking about it.
No.
And so we were here frustrated on the Couch Live and on other things, that nobody was listening. And look, not to get political, but the last administration did next to nothing. We had less than $3 billion total thrown at it. We had all these treatment centers and stuff that were prepared to handle the situation. But we had law enforcement made the biggest move. Law enforcement couldn't arrest us out of this, but at least they went after all the poorly ran treatment centers, and they went after all the pill mills, and they did their part.
They did,
and government officials supported them, and so people went to jail, and people got closed down, and restrictions happened and stuff like that. But the average everyday person is the one I think you're talking about that just really didn't change that much.
I don't think a lot of them. I think they stereotypically don't really pay attention, don't really care, have whatever views they've had for however many years, positive or negative.
That's it.
Until they're impacted by it. Until they either deal with it themselves or they have an immediate family member or friend, colleague, what have you. Then all of a sudden they became, as you said, woke, and then they start caring. And
all of a sudden it was an issue.
Yeah, but I think the average individual is just caught up in their own day-to-day stuff, and if this just so happens to not be their cause, then they don't care.
Right.
If their cause is, like, for instance, their cause is cancer or kids, which is most people, they can tell you, oh, well, they're working on it. They have all these statistics and they know about it and they donate, whatever, but this one,
or here in Florida, damn little sea turtles.
Yeah.
You know?
Which I'm guilty of, by the way, because I did go watch that sea turtle.
You watched the little sea turtle, whatever.
Which was awesome.
I'm not anti-sea turtle, so don't send me an email.
Yeah, you want us
I'm
to
just
step on the eggs.
I'm just saying, when it comes to sea turtles, people go crazy.
They do.
Fanatical about saving this and that.
Yes.
But, you have somebody on the street dying of an overdose or dying from addiction. All of a sudden, it's like, you know what? They brought that up on themselves. You know who the turtle brought it up on himself? He knows damn well we're walking here. Why did you have eggs in front of a Marriott?
Stupid turtle.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of a stretch, but we'll go with it. Why not?
It's not a stretch. It's easy to see humans are everywhere. It's kind of easy. There's a lot of areas where a turtle can put their little babies.
I don't think I've done the research to know how their consciousness works, but we'll go with it.
I'm just I'm always looking for personal responsibility.
Stupid turtle.
As a counselor, I look for personal responsibility, and I say, you know what?
The turtle should be a capitalist.
Anyway, I'm just kidding. Don't be all crazy and send me emails. Send them to someone else. Anyway, so It Takes a Village is what we're talking about today. So we brought in 2 special guests.
We did.
2 people that are doing something in the community.
A lot of things.
Because what we're asking you guys is, what are they doing in your community? We want you to post that, but we're going to tell you a little bit what's happening here in Orange County, because it's, well, we're in Smyrna Beach right now, but Orange County is just skipping a jump away.
Yes.
So let's talk about what's happening. So let me introduce you to 2 people, Anna Reed and David Knight. There they are. Anna Reed, David Knight. Hi, Anna. How you doing?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Doing fantastic.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you just came in right at the last minute, huh? You came all the way
She
from
pulled
Orlando.
a Louis.
Yeah,
Literally.
Showed up really right when we get started.
Yeah. Yeah, I used to do that when I didn't have to turn on the lights.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We were at a regular station. I like coming in right on time.
Yeah, I definitely felt rushed on the way out because I'm headed to Jacksonville today too.
What are you doing?
So I'm headed up. They're having their symposium tomorrow, so I'm helping out with their symposium, which I'm sure we'll be talking about here shortly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. So first of all, who is Anna?
Who is Anna?
Yeah. Why do we bring Anna on?
That's so funny. There's so many things that I could talk about. Well, personally, I'm a wife and a mom.
Right.
I'm a dog owner.
There's the dog again.
Yeah.
There's the dogs.
I'm which drives me crazy, by the way. My dog and I aren't best friends, but he loves me. I'm his favorite person.
Sounds like me and my cat.
Yeah. And so I'm also I'm in a recovery ally, which for me means that I have many friends and family that are in long-term recovery, and I've been able to see the benefits that has brought to their lives. Right. Not to mention the fact that families are in recovery too. So, I'm also in recovery from the experiences that I shared with them and through it.
Right.
In addition, I'm a widow mentor and advocate, and I'm in graduate school, and I own a scuba business.
Wait. that almost didn't even go with how she said it, right? No, she goes, I'm a widow mentor and advocate. That just whoa. Let's stop at the widow part.
Okay, yeah.
I know it must be, it's not an easy thing.
Yeah.
But you kind of flew right by it.
Yeah. Well, I think I'm flying by it because in my mind, what we're going to talk about and how that relates, but it does relate. So when I was 31 years old, I lost my first husband. Yeah. It was sudden. He was 35. And I was very grateful to connect to a group of ladies called Modern Widows Club,
okay.
Who basically help mentor others basically to thrive in their new normal. And so,
wow.
I never pictured that would be my story.
Right.
And actually when Matthew had passed away, I reached out to Trinity, and Trinity met with me, and we had just really gotten to know each other and talked about fitness goals and everything.
Well, that's how you met him.
Yeah.
Right on.
And
actually, I met her at the first time I met you was at the recovery walk.
Oh, yep.
It was years ago, though.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. So I through my graduate level work, I'm actually interning with Modern Widows Club and helping with their leadership conference and their board development and everything. And just very blessed to be in a place where I can heal forward, but be able to reach back as well.
Modern Women's Club.
Modern Widows.
Oh, Modern Widows Club. Mm-hmm. And is that nationwide?
So they started here in Orlando, in Central Florida. Carolyn Moore is the founder. Mm-hmm. And basically they're a nonprofit, 501c3. They have over, I believe, 16 or 17 chapters all around the country now.
Right on. I'd never heard of that.
Yeah.
She just said a phrase I think I'm going to steal, by the way.
Uh-oh.
Healing forward.
Oh, yeah. I caught that.
I like that.
Oh, yeah.
That was nice.
Yeah.
Healing
Thanks.
forward.
I like that.
Yeah. Right on. Well, thank you for that.
Absolutely.
I appreciate that. By the way, just because it's hard to talk about an organization and not at least give something, what's the website they can go to for that?
Absolutely. So www.modernwidowsclub.com.
Oh, it's a .com.
I'm pretty sure.
Okay, if you can't find a .com, try .org.
Yeah.
But
I'm pretty sure it's .com.
Okay, or just Google it.
Yeah, Google it.
Yeah.
There's this thing called Google.
Yeah, give them something to do. Anyway, David Knight. David, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. How are you guys?
And who's David?
Besides somebody with one of the coolest names ever.
David
When
Knight?
I hear David Knight, I automatically think Michael Knight.
One of
Knight
the fun
Rider.
facts about this, I actually get to pick it myself, but that's another story.
I can't even hear him.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to talk.
He's a very soft-spoken person.
Kit,
yeah.
No, but one of the fun facts about my name is that I actually got to pick it myself, so yeah, that works out.
That is awesome.
Yeah, we don't all get to pick our own
I didn't
name.
get that luxury.
Well,
although I'm okay
Prince
with mine,
did.
I guess.
Madonna did.
There you go.
All right, so David Knight did.
Exactly.
Right.
No, but to start off, I like to consider myself a father first because my kids motivate me to do a lot of every step that I take forward is based on their well-being and their future. So I consider myself a parent first, small business owner, just community member. That's about it.
Okay.
And you're an advocate too, right? Don't you have something you're trying to start up right now?
Yes, I'm launching a nonprofit around providing aftercare services for survivors of human trafficking here in Florida.
Right on.
I'll be sharing more about that at the symposium that we're gonna, I think, cover a lot later today. So I'm doing that. My recovery ally status, I would say, is mostly for my father. I lost my dad to his other child, which was cocaine. So I kind of lost the totem pole fight on that one.
Yeah.
But no, so
unfortunate.
But that actually kind of ties in a lot to really understanding how people get involved with all of this.
Yeah.
Is as Anna was describing herself, and you kind of went through that whole phase. A lot of people do that with a lot of the traumas in their lives. So maybe they're not advocates because there's stuff they don't want to talk about. It's like, hey, I don't want to open that door again. I already walked through that and it sucked. Why do you want to do that again?
Yeah.
But anyhow.
Yeah, we had that show last week. Passion from pain.
Yeah.
And that's what we were talking about, is where you develop a passion for something out of the pain that you experienced. And all of a sudden, just like both of you are now doing something close to the pains that you guys have experienced. So now you're passionate about helping others that are still suffering. And that's really cool. So that's awesome. So you can find that on at WPSN99.com, and then look under podcasts and the Couch Live, and you'll find Passion from Pain right there. Right?
Yes,
did
sir.
you put it up?
I did.
Okay, good. And it's there then. I should have asked you before I started telling people to go there. Don't go there now, though, because right now we're going to talk about this symposium that's coming up, because you heard two different examples of organizations that need help, like the Now Matters More Foundation. So there's 3. But there's a symposium coming up here in Central Florida, and all throughout Florida it's happening. Yeah. So, Anna, the way I want you to describe it is about that. Like, because Florida we get knocked around for being, like, stupid and ridiculous, because we are. So many times we're just ridiculous. From hanging chads to Florida man to Florida duh. I mean, there's just so many stories about our stupid people. Mm-hmm. And we have a lot of stupid people. And yeah, I'm a counselor, and I can say stupid people. I really can. You know why? Because I'm not currently practicing as a counselor.
It usually pops up around election time, too.
Yeah. So we do have a lot of stupid people that do a lot of stupid things. We also have a lot of characters, a lot of interesting people that just do a lot of interesting things. Yeah. But in this case, we're doing some things for the problem of addiction, and I know we call it an opioid crisis a lot, and we say an opioid epidemic or pandemic and all that, but FYI, there's always been an addiction problem. There's always been this disease of addiction that's been out there killing people.
Yeah.
Only now it's killing people that I guess you didn't think were deserving to die of it, or you didn't think were deserving to have the problem, so all of a sudden everybody woke.
Yeah, how did the drug crisis become an opioid crisis? Like, last I checked...
I don't know.
And you and I... not to take us off topic, I guess, but to keep it in the same thing.
Right.
I was astonished the day you and I were on the phone. Mm-hmm. And it was one of our upset moments when we were trying to figure out why nobody seems to care about that stuff. And you went through the top 10 list of things that people die from. And I'd say, what was it, like 8 or something? 8 out of the top 10 could be associated with addiction.
Right. Addiction is a factor.
Yeah. Addiction was a factor in 8 of the top 10 things, but yet nobody was talking about it. And even now, they're all concentrated on opiates.
Yeah.
But there's still people who die of alcoholism, cocaine. Like it's addiction. It's not the drug itself. But yeah, it's still
the disease. And again, the disease is being ignored. Again, the disease everybody loses focus on the health crisis. This is a health crisis.
Yes.
And trust me, like you said about Zika earlier, if this many people were affected by Zika,
it would be military would be in the streets.
Yes,
it would be insane.
There'd be
curfews. There'd be all sorts of stuff.
Right. That armored vehicle would be driving through the town, delivering the medication to every household.
Yes.
So that we can protect ourselves.
Yes.
And there would definitely be 10 cities, but not for this one. Not for this one. And mind you, this has been going on for a long time now.
Yeah.
Almost 200 people die every day. Almost 200 people die every day of overdoses. And those are only the counted. Those are only people that some coroner has decided to say this is the cause of death.
Yeah.
That's an airline wrecking every day.
And that's just the overdoses. That's
And
not
just overdoses.
I was high, so I fell asleep at the
That's
wheel
right.
and slammed into somebody
right.
and killed him with my car.
That's not the DUIs. That's
Yeah,
not.
that's not any of that stuff.
That's not any of that
That's
stuff.
strictly overdose.
So Anna, the symposium. First of all, that word is like, English is my second language. What the hell is a symposium?
I can't describe what a symposium is, but I
Right.
definitely
Google that later.
I definitely can tell you a little bit about the process that the state is under.
All right.
And then we'll talk further about the symposium. So, FADA, the Florida Alcohol and Drug Abuse Association, and Floridians for Recovery received a grant from Aetna to go throughout the entire state and help with the assistance of developing recovery community organizations.
Okay, so let's stop there for a second. Recovery community organizations.
Yes.
What does that mean?
Peer-led, peer-driven.
Peer-led meaning other
Peer-led,
people that are
others
currently addicted or in recovery, like a 12-step meeting?
In recovery. So
Okay.
others that are in recovery from substance use disorders. So with that being said, peer-led, peer-driven, and remember families are in recovery too.
Right.
And so the purpose of an RCO really is to fill a gap that isn't already there. So it looks different in every community. That could be advocacy for supports and monies to come down, right? That can be driving people to and from their meetings. That could be helping with housing.
Like a sober Uber?
Like a sober Uber,
Like
which
a
is a great
recovery Uber?
idea, by the way.
Yeah.
And so, an RCO is developed from what the community needs. Now, the difference between how a typical RCO is developed and how this process is happening is the process. So we had a listening session in Orange County in November 2018, and then in February 2019 we started meeting to plan the symposium.
Okay.
Now, to be honest, we could probably plan an event, a symposium, in a week's time, and it would be great because we're great and we would just have great people there.
Love the confidence.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So, but the process that we've been going through since February has allowed for more community members to be involved, and it's really been amazing. Individuals that otherwise would not normally work together are collaborating to put on this event that's going to be Saturday, September 21st.
Right. That's the hardest thing, though, isn't it, to get people to play well together?
So again, this process has been happening all throughout the state.
Okay.
So the the amazing team that comes from FADA, Jenny LaRue and Linda travel, and actually they're on their way to Jacksonville right now to help with their symposium. Our community is fun. That's what they say. When they come to our community, they're happy to see everybody. Everybody's in it treats each other with kindness and just works well together.
Well, we say it all the time here. Orange County has it. I mean, look, from Eileen, right there, the Orange County Drug Free Office over there. I mean, all the way down. Like it used to be Carol Burkett. Eileen has took those reins, and I know she's in there temporarily, but let me tell you something. That Drug Free Office is on fire. It's always working. And Orange County has always been right there. Demings, the mayor of Orange County, has been, he was the first one that supported the Couch Live.
Well, even with us,
all people.
Every time we have an event, like when we did our stuff when the Couch Live was on tour at UCF, which will be it again in another week or two.
Oh, that's right.
We just make a phone call. She's like, what do you need?
Yeah.
Like, it's done.
Yeah, so Orange County, you're right. This area is really always fun and active and collaborates a hell of a lot more than most areas. And I don't even live in Orange County.
And we could always do better, though, right? And so that's what this process is all about, is how can we do better? What could we be providing that we're not providing? What gaps in services does the recovery community want and need? Right. And so the symposium will bring quite a large group together. At this point, Central Florida Symposium is set to be the largest one in the entire state.
Wow.
I think it was a week ago we already had 250 people registered, which is about twice that of other symposiums in other areas already, and we still are doing outreach and everything. So
how did you get this responsibility?
I don't know.
Yeah, it just kind of landed in your lap?
Well,
you open your mouth at a meeting and they go, you're it.
Exactly. So
she's the hardest working person in the show business.
She is.
So I met Jenny LaRue at a treatment conference with Eileen, with the coalition, and she was talking about this process, and it caught me on fire, basically, because I was like, why aren't we doing this already? Why isn't this done? why aren't the key people stepping up and doing this? And then I realized that one of the key people was me. And so I had to stop kind of looking out for others to do it and really kind of step up to the plate and say, okay, we're going to plan a listening session. And at that time, there was a really great group of powerful organizations coming together to plan that listening session, and then everybody dropped off because life happened, right? And so people were looking at me like, okay, what's the next step?
Right.
And I thought, well, I'm just going to plan a meeting, and whoever shows up will show up. And we had 25 people that very first meeting.
Wow.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw some faces in a meeting that I hadn't seen in a long time, and it's always good to see them.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, though. You said that you had listening sessions, and now we have a symposium. What's the goal of a symposium? Like, what is it supposed to do?
So the goal is really to give a voice to recovery. And at the end of the day, there's going to be something called cafe conversations. There's going to be 9 cafe conversations on topics that range from youth to mental health. And basically, those cafe conversations are going to be breakout sessions or breakout little pods that are going to have questions. And it's kind of like a brainstorming, like what's going well, what could we be doing better? And then from those cafe conversations, all that information is going to be transcribed and then go into the Recovery Community Organization strategic plan. Okay. So it's not just an event. This isn't a one and done event. This is you're helping to develop something that is starting at the very beginning. Right. The RCO will go through the process of setting up a 501c3, the articles of incorporation, all those things, and then community members will rise up and say, okay, I want to be this person connected to the RCO, whether that's marketing for Warriors or Now Matters More, and getting connected to the RCO with different events. It's not one person. It's not Anna Reed running the RCO or Now Matters More running the RCO. It's a collaborative. And what I have found is, again, the difference between this event and this process and other events that we've seen is that some organizations that don't always work together are working together. We have quite a few recovery groups that are going to be there because there'll also be resources. At this point, we have 30 resource tables. Those resource tables will be all around the room, but that will include AA, NA, Al-Anon, Nar-Anon, Smart Recovery, Celebrate Recovery, the RAISE Project, Hope for Healing Parents, which I had never even heard of. Wow. And those are just the recovery groups. That doesn't include our sponsors that we've been so blessed to have, and all the nonprofit groups that are going to be there too.
Wow.
See why she
Mic
got
drop.
the gig? Yeah. I guess now we know why she got the gig.
Excuse me.
It sounds like she's been asked this question before, Trent.
Yeah. Very prepared. I like that.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this then, Anna, because, all right, so I hear Recovery Community Organization. Are you saying that it looks different everywhere it is? And if so, have you been to another one in another city, state? I mean, well, I guess we have none in Florida yet. Have you been to any of them?
We do have some in Florida.
Okay.
We have the RAISE project, the RAISE out in Osceola is an RCO. So they're a recovery.
RAISE?
RAISE, RASE. I think I'm saying that correct.
Well, there is a RAISE project. Is that the same?
It's
what you're saying?
I probably should have done a little more research to speak
See, right
of it.
when I gave her a compliment about
yeah, that's what I get. There's also a RCO.
Baseball was my favorite sport as a kid, so
Yeah. It's all good.
Throw that other pitch.
Rebel Recovery is down in West Palm. They're pretty well known throughout the state as an RCO.
Okay.
And basically an RCO is, again, peer-led, peer-driven. So what that means is if I am someone that's in recovery or I need support, or maybe I'm not in recovery, maybe I'm in active use, I can get connected to the RCO, and that RCO will connect me potentially with a peer who then will, it's different than a sponsor, right? A peer is different than a sponsor. A peer is different.
Why is that? Yeah, that's a good, why is that different?
Because I think from my understanding, a peer is there to be with you, right?
Okay.
In it, versus trying to change where you are. Right. Whereas, and I know a sponsor is there with you, but a sponsor is also there to kick you in the ass if I'm not. Am I allowed to say that?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's internet. You can say whatever you want.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. well, now my kids aren't going to be. Anyways, so
Mommy said ass.
Oh, there's a way. Anyways, moving on. So that's my understanding, of where like a peer can go into a hospital setting and sit with the family there, right? So if someone is is in an overdose situation, a peer support specialist could come in and sit with the family and then help them navigate. It's almost like assistance as a navigator versus you're seeking out that recovery already and you've sought out that sponsor. Does that make sense how I'm explaining it?
Yeah, I don't know if it does. I mean, maybe it does to other people. I guess my head you got my head going in a direction, so I'm just going to say it. I guess in my head, I'm hearing you say it is very similar to a sponsor. The difference is a sponsor's sole purpose is to help you go through the steps.
Yes.
That's it. Whereas, and there's rules to that.
Mm-hmm.
There's rules and there's history and there's a lot of traditions based on those 12-step programs. And I guess with the RCO, it's more fluid.
Mm-hmm.
So the peer that's helping you is not restricted by that.
Right.
They can have opinions on outside issues. Mm-hmm. They can guide you to programs that are not necessarily a 12-step program, but it may still include that. I think that's what I'm hearing.
Absolutely.
I think it's just it sounds similar, just more broad in the sense that it's not strictly focused on any particular 12-step program.
Absolutely. And that might be a topic for another show too, the difference between a peer support specialist versus, because there's some really amazing peer support specialists. I know Crystal Hernandez out in Osceola County is just doing amazing things. And Joe with Ray's they're all doing such great work.
All of a sudden I'm hearing this peer support specialist everywhere. Everybody's getting this certification. Mm-hmm. Everybody that I know that has gotten one came out of the rooms. Mm-hmm. They're in recovery. They came out of the room. So I'm sure there's going to be some blending. But just like with everything else, everybody that was a cap like I am, originally everybody was from the rooms as well and not necessarily anymore. So it started that way and then now it's not. So I'm assuming this is similar. It's going to start like that, but then it's not going to be. And it has its positives. But I guess its limitations as well because the scope. And I guess what I'm hearing is a recovery community organization needs to have a broader scope because there's a lot of people who aren't going to end up being a 12-step member. There's a lot of people that need some crisis intervention that's going to require you to have an opinion on the medical necessity and how to get that help instead of just saying some of the other things that have been told to us. Like, back in the day when I was younger, came in, it was just like, yeah, suck it up, buttercup kind of attitude. And then you had this process, right? What is it? I mean, how is it manned though? I mean, like, is it going to be like a storefront? Is it like a bricks and mortar place where you can go in at any time and there's somebody to help guide you? Is that the way they look?
So that's a really great question. Again, the community gets to decide. So in my mind, that's what the RCO that will be developed will be. But it could also be a mobile unit. An RCO can be a mobile unit. So until
back to my RV, Trinity.
There you go.
So when you talk about the symposium, right? That's why it's so important to get involved and show up to the symposium because your voice matters, right?
You got to be there, Louis.
Yeah.
I guess I better show up.
Get up off your butt and go.
Yeah, I think I kind of have to.
Yeah, Louis our MC, and we're so grateful for that. So he
better
better show up.
Put that on my calendar, Trinity. Write that down. That I got to be there. Okay, don't let me forget.
But so
we're supposed to be there as a table, I believe, as well.
Yeah. So yeah, you, my friend.
I won't be here
on vacation.
You'll be on vacation, right?
That's right.
Yeah. So kind of bringing it back in. So when you talk about exactly what Louis said, multiple pathways are going to be represented at the symposium, and being able to share, well, what do you think the RCO should look like? But then again, the next step, we're not done here at the symposium. The next step is a visioning session or visioning part of the process, right? So we already have the visioning date. It's November, I believe, the 7th. And so what will happen is we'll announce the visioning date at the symposium, and then key people will step up and say, you know what, I think this is awesome. I want to be a part of this. I want to volunteer. I want to be the director of the RCO. I want to be on a board of directors. But we don't really know. It's hard to predict what it's going to look like, Louis, until we have the symposium.
So every RCO can, what I'm hearing, every RCO can completely look and feel different yet the monies all come from the same bucket. They're willing to disperse the money from FATA or from wherever it comes from, yet it can look different. There's no rules on what it needs to look like.
So again, the money from FATA and Floridians for Recovery is really to help with technical support. So they're not going to be funding the RCO. What they have funded is the process of developing the RCO. Each community is from the grant that is under the grant has been given $5,000 to basically put the symposium together, but then any money that's left outside of that $5,000 grant then goes into the RCO again to develop the 501c3, all those other things. So as a community, we've been very diligent about not just being frivolous with that money, because again, we want to have that money to help develop the RCO and not just for a one-day event.
David, you were going to say something?
Well, to answer your question about should they look different, are they allowed to be different?
Mm-hmm.
I think it answers the question about the show, about it takes a community or it takes a village.
Right.
Every village needs something different, but the common goal is recovery.
Right.
So the process, how do you get there, is going to be different in West Palm or Miami, Tampa, Jacksonville.
Right.
But if they have the same common goal, how they approach it benefits their community, because the resources we have here, well, there in Orange County, may be different from what they need up north or down south. But if the goal's the same, I think that's what they're funding.
Right.
No, I'm not involved in that part, though.
Trinity, you were going to say something?
Well, I was just going to ask where the rest of the funding comes from. Like, if the original funding is to get everything set up, then what happens?
Girl Scout cookies?
Yeah, I mean...
Well, and that's the part that will fall on those that step up, right?
Wow.
I mean, I know many of us are in business entrepreneurs. You know, I'm starting a recovery high school, and that's going to be a 501c3 set up with a collaboration. I mean, that's going to fall on me to fundraise, just like, you know, Now Matters More fundraises to be able to provide the supports that they do. But it's not, I just don't want, I want to caution anybody from looking at the RCO as competition, because until the for funding, because the RCO again is about filling a gap that isn't there. It's not about taking money from something that's already in existence. I'm gonna
take a stab here, and it's not to it's not to argue it.
Which basically he's saying he's going to argue.
I'm going to argue
and that's
it.
okay. I like to argue.
No, I don't think that it fills a gap that's not already there. I think that it brings all the people that already fill in gaps together to do it together. Because,
spot on.
Because I think the problem is there's a lot of us that have been around doing a lot of things, and like people may know me because I've been vocal. I publicly speak. I've been on radio for so long. I've done a lot of things. So in our area or in our state, you may know me. However, there's a lot of people that have done more or similar to me for those same amount of years, and yet nobody knows who they are. But they're working their butts off. And so I think what this allows them to do is to come get noticed about what you do so that we know how to help you and work together, and you know how to help us in what we do. Because people don't play well together. And this is I hate to say the word business, but everything has to have that word in it, because even nonprofits are a business. So get over it, anybody. By the way, you can't save those little turtles if you don't have the money to for the gas to go out to the beach.
Back to the turtles.
The reality is good intentions don't help anybody.
Right. Yeah, good intentions can't pay bills.
Yeah.
That's for dang sure.
I can't call my mortgage and tell I intended to do it.
Exactly.
You tried that. That didn't really work.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
I remember that phone call.
Yeah.
No, what you have to do is you have to work together, and you have to find out what people are doing in your area, or else you do use that kind of language, which is nobody's doing this. Yes. Like Trinity and I have spoken many times, and Trinity would say, nobody's talking about this. I said, well, there are people talking about Trinity.
Yeah, well, because you and I doing it semantics.
We do it a lot because there are people doing it. There are people saying it. There are people wanting to do it. There are people, but they don't have the funding. They don't know how to get the funding. Well, this is going to allow grant writers to come up and say, by the way, I'm a grant writer. So for that, now $9 billion available in federal fund. By the way, did you hear me? It was $3 billion just 2 little years ago.
Yeah.
All you people that are I'm blue or I'm red. All you division people, it was $3 billion. It's now $9 billion as of what, a couple days ago.
Yeah.
Another $1.8 billion Trump threw in. It's now up to $9 billion federal dollars.
Yep.
At the height of this crisis, when everybody was dying, when all this happened, it was $3 billion. If you're going to talk, but talk positive and talk about solution, it's now $9 billion. So I guess what we're saying is that the federal government can only do so much.
Right.
They can throw all the money, but if us local people aren't getting together and saying, hey, what is it you guys do over there at M4W? You know, what do you do over here at Now Matters More Foundation? What do you do at this recovery high school? Tell me about this recovery. If we don't know what each other does and helps each other go get the money that's part of that $9 billion, because it's sitting there, that means you guys can go get some of the $9 billion.
Right.
You guys can go get some of the $9 billion. You guys can go get some of the $9 billion. Us collectively can be a recovering community organization and get some of that $9 billion. And it's not competition. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, absolutely. And so, it's interesting because you just made me think about the process that they're a little further along in Volusia because that was the first community that went through this process.
It's so awkward to say that it's farther along in Volusia. Look, I'm from Volusia. I've lived in Volusia. We're in Volusia now.
Well, we're working with Volusia.
We're working with Volusia right now. And we have something to throw out there in a couple days or a couple weeks, but we're never first. So that's thank you for that.
No, absolutely. So I'll give it to you. So with that being said, they're further along in the development of their RCO. So they've had their symposium, they've had their visioning, and what they've started to do is ongoing community events about exactly what you said, bringing key people together, bringing different organizations together so that everyone understands what everyone's doing so that we can support our community better versus working in silos.
Now, is there a system set up for each community to kind of come together amongst themselves and talk about what's working, what's not working? In other words, if there's a recovery community in XYZ city that might not even be in the state, and they're like kicking ass, like whatever they're doing is like, wow, this is really effective. Yeah. Do you guys have a system in place to collaborate with them to bring it here as well?
Well, I think that that's a fabulous idea, and I would think that if whoever, once the RCO is up and running or through the process, that would be 100% what you would want to do is look at that, right? Look at that model, and I think that with this initiative throughout the state, what's also going to be powerful is we're all going to be in communication.
Right.
And actually, David came up with that idea at the symposium planning. That's what's so cool is we're all coming up with different ideas. David said, it's great that we're doing this in 15 different communities, but then how shouldn't we be working together to say this is working in our community? Yeah. You might want to contact this person, and we're already starting to see some of that. I have some folks that are contacting about our symposium locally, but at the behavioral health care conference, they brought together certain individuals within each community and brought us together, and we had a whole session on how is the process going. So they are mindful of that. They haven't mapped out exactly how they'll connect us here in the state, but even beyond that is what Trinity's saying. I think that's great.
Well, I just what made me think of it actually was when you were talking about the recovery high school. I've been in this business for a little while now, and I like to consider myself relatively plugged in. Right. Never heard of a recovery high school before. Yeah. When we had Greg Williams, when we brought him in, we did his premiere of his movie here. I think it was I don't remember what the first one was called.
Anonymous People?
Yeah. But it was during the second one, I believe, is when he started talking about the things that they're doing, the solutions and whatnot. Right. And in that second one, they were talking really heavily about recovery high schools. They had this whole section on it. I was like, whoa, why have I never heard of that? That's amazing. It was cool that they did that. And so it was interesting to me that here we all are working our butts off and trying to do stuff. And then in this other community, they came up with this really cool idea and they're implementing it. And yet a lot of us had no clue that was even taking place. Right. And so if there was some sort of a system of communication where we can kind of say, hey, this is what we're doing and it's working. Oh, wow.
Well, yeah, and I like that, Trinity, because here's the problem. There's too many of you out there waiting for government to do everything. And look, like we said, $9 billion, there it is.
That's a lot of money.
And then, look, as much, by the way, props to you, Ron DeSantis. You did real good during the hurricane. I got to give you applause for that. You did very well for your first hurricane, for first major crisis. Thankfully, we didn't have the kind of problems to actually see if everything would have worked out the way you planned it, but everybody was very well prepared. Well, like in this crisis, at least he's signing some things that we needed him to sign. We got on him a little bit when he didn't sign that needle exchange fast enough. Yeah. But you ended up signing it, Ron, so that's great. or governor, if that's the way I'm supposed to call it. But here's the other thing. There's another thing that we went to not too long ago, which is supposed to be a community thing. And we got a little frustrated. I don't want to say the name because I want to give them the opportunity to fix themselves. Because we started something to fix it, and then somebody got up there that it was a major voice within this whole grouping of people and said, the 12-step programs doesn't work for opiate-dependent people. And I'm like, first of all, I looked around and I said, wow, they're not even here. Those 12-step organizations weren't even there to be represented. So they weren't invited like the one I saw in your meeting or the RCO meeting. They were there. They were there. They were open to it. I had a conversation with them because me and one of the main people of that go back, 28 years. So it's like, hey, how are you thinking about this? How are you feeling about this? And we were talking about it, which I like. Because you got veterans in there that have been doing this, like I said, been doing this. So it's hard when I see people like in that other one that, 2 days ago you were working with this population, now you're working with this population, all of a sudden you're the expert. And all I heard was a bunch of stuff that was like, you have no clue what's really happening. You really don't have any clue. But what you are good at is you're good at putting a lot of politicians together and a lot of important people in a room to make it seem like you guys are doing something. Here's the difference, Anna. Don't get swept up by that. And don't get swayed by that, because I really love the way you talk about this. I really love the way you're handling it. And I know it's not just you.
Right.
But you're humble enough to know that. You actually know that it's not you. You actually do know that it takes a village. And you actually aren't in this for alternative reasons of political power or looking important or to put your name on everything. The way I'm watching that other thing happen. It's the same name over and over as if there's a new czar in town. And the only reason I call it out is because, look, people, 20 years ago when I started this program, I told you I'm not going to bullshit you. If it looks and quacks like a duck, I'm going to call it a frickin' duck, because if you were asking me for help, like you were talking about a sponsor, if I was your sponsor, I'm going to call it a frickin' duck. Your life isn't that important to me. Well, you know what? There's people out there that their lives are important to me, and I don't like when talking heads get up there and sound like they're doing really good stuff, and I spend an hour listening to a meeting, and at the end of it,
I can't tell you what the plan was.
What was accomplished? You didn't even tell us where the money is and how to get it.
Right.
There was no plan.
No plan.
Well, I know
what
exactly.
What I like about everything you're saying, and I'll be the voice when you shouldn't. That's
absolutely.
I'll take the bullets. But it's because I've just been around this so long. 30 years in remission, 28 years of working in this business. Yes, this is all I know how to do. And this is the first time I'm hearing a hope that people actually want to work together, because they really have not. Churches don't work well together. Yes, I said it. You churches don't work well together. Treatment centers, historically, the treatment center. Now, independent people, like the reps, might work well together, but traditionally, the treatment centers itself don't really work well together. The programs, the self-help programs don't really work well together historically. But that's got to be done. We have to. I think what the RCO's main power is going to be is being able to be fluid and change depending upon the community's problem. That is what I'm liking most about what you guys are saying today. That it can be fluid and it can look different here than in Volusia County, kind of deal.
Yeah, and the biggest difference, at least from the event that you meant that should not be named.
Yeah. I mean, they'll figure it out, but whatever.
No.
If anybody watches
Orange County right now is probably upset right now. Look at Orange County. You were my sponsor for a long time. Eileen, Janet, I love you guys, but it just they weren't in the room when the things got said anyway.
Well, here's the biggest difference with the
and
RCO.
They have nothing to do with that.
In contrast, the RCO is not saying, "Hey, this is what we're doing, what we plan on doing, etc." No, like we're saying, "Hey, we built you a platform.
Right.
Here's a microphone. Everybody gets to speak because everybody's problems are different.
Right.
Each pathway, each step is completely different.
Right.
It's the whole concept of recovery. It's not just a cure that you just inject to somebody.
Right.
It's a sequential line item of steps.
Right.
And everybody provides a different part of it.
Right.
The other ones, what you mentioned, is just the difference between ego and altruism.
Right.
That's all it is.
Right. I just don't want to hear any more about skies falling. The sky's falling. It's like
it's
like
focusing
right now,
on the problem versus the solution, right? Recovery is the solution,
Right.
and the more that we can get people, well, we need both, but if we can get a shift where you can talk about the problem, right? But let's make the solution bigger than the problem.
Correct.
And that's what this is all about.
Yeah.
Is really making the solution bigger than the problem.
Correct.
Which is then going to have an impact on stigma. You know, I have someone that went and met with with a sheriff's department, not the sheriff, but a sheriff's department,
Right.
and they had never met anyone that was doing well from opioid use disorder.
Really?
Never.
Yes.
Never.
Yes.
And she was like, that's because when we were in active use, we were all, you saw us.
Yeah.
We were getting arrested. We lost our
Yep.
house. We lost our kids.
Yep.
But now that I've got a job and I've got a house and I've got my kids back, you don't hear about me.
Yeah.
And so we need
Yeah.
to change that.
Anna,
I agree.
the meeting that I'm talking about, we were there. 3 times people were mentioned. 3 people that were opioid dependent. Guess what? All 3 were dead.
Yeah.
They told us 3 dead stories and not 1 recovery story.
There wasn't a single person
Not
saying, hey,
one person
recovery
saying
works.
recovery works or that
No.
there is a solution. It's here we are, and so, but recovery does work. People, here's what I got to tell you. You may be suffering right now. Your family may be suffering right now, but there's a lot of people in recovery. There's a lot of people that want to help you, and there is a solution to this bullshit. You can live. You don't have to die. And maybe you families out there that are wondering, nobody's listening to me, and how do I get some of that Louis, you said $9 billion, but you know what? I can't afford this insurance premiums. I don't have insurance, and I can't find a treatment center that can take my kid. You know what? You should show up to the symposium then. And on top of that, come to the symposium and come to the recovery walk, because there's also a recovery walk where you 2 met that happens every year here in Orange County.
Yep.
So I want to make sure that people know that if they're listening to this or watching this, you can come. And by the way, you said it, Anna. You don't have to be in recovery. You don't have to be in remission from this disease. You don't ever have had to have this disease even in your family to join us and be part of the solution. Because you know what? You might have some good freaking ideas, and your ideas aren't going to be tainted by your emotions of this stuff.
Right.
Because ours are. My emotions are obviously tainted, so I get real passionate about it because I feel it's personal to me. And so there's a lot of people that our ideas stem from our pain. So it's going to have a certain look to it. But you guys out there that are good at building stuff or organizing stuff that have never been involved with this, you might have some ideas that we need to hear. So please show up. So let's do some closing stuff that you think still needs to be mentioned, Anna, stuff that you still think needs to be mentioned, David. But at the same time, let's promote where and how to sign up for these things that are coming up. So you first, David.
Well, I'll let Anna cover the basis on how to sign up for the
Okay.
RCO for the symposium, but one of the biggest key takeaways is getting rid of that stigma. Because you mentioned you don't have to be in recovery, but if you look deep enough into your family, your friends, your coworkers, trust me, it's there.
It's there.
It's not just a show on Netflix. It's not just
Amen.
something that you see on the road. No, it's there. It's in your life. It's prevalent, and it could be in your future, and that's what you're going to learn about it, and that's how you prevent it.
Right.
So may not be in my active life, but that's something I got to watch out for my kids when they're
Right.
teenagers, when they're adults. Who knows? So I invite people who are not aware of what exactly these words mean, what recovery, what these treatment centers, who these people are, to just show up. It's a free lunch. It's a free lunch, and it's a good education about the place that you live at. If you live in Orange County, learn more about Orange County.
Right.
What are you going to lose?
Thank you. And Marketing for Warriors will be
So
thrown out that day? I mean, are we going to learn more? You're going to have a table?
Yes, actually, so Marketing for Warriors has become one of the sponsors for this symposium.
Okay, great.
We'll have a small slot to speak about Marketing for Warriors. We'll have a table there, and we're going to be officially announcing what the project is, what the nonprofit is, how it all works.
Right on.
So within that, I hope to see everybody there.
And you are a military veteran.
Yes.
And you are not even born in this country. You're born
No,
in Colombia.
I am. Yeah.
People, it does happen. See, I love it. Thank you very much for that, by the way. You're like my father. My father wasn't born in this country, yet he was, lifer, military. Yes, Anna.
So in addition to Orange County, we want to welcome everyone, from Osceola and Seminole, because as a community, we decided that we wanted to make this a big event.
Right
So it's not just an Orange County event. There's quite a lot of community members that have been actively involved from Osceola and Seminole, and of course Orange. As far as some recap information, you can register on Eventbrite. The Eventbrite registration is Central Florida Recovery Symposium. We also have a Facebook, which is Central Florida Recovery Symposium. On the Facebook, there's a link to register, and it is a free event. We're just asking folks to register so that we can have a proper count for lunch, as
Right
David mentioned, a free lunch. Also, we haven't mentioned this, but our keynote speaker is Jim Payne from West 2 News. He'll be really sharing, his connection to recovery.
Right
And then we'll have 3 panels of individuals. We'll have an RCO panel where you'll be able to learn more about how RCOs are set up across the state. We'll have a Voices of Recovery panel, and we will also have a a community resource panel.
Okay.
So the event is going to be packed full of information, packed full of resources. Again, registration, Central Florida Recovery Symposium. The event will start at 10, but I would encourage you to get there early. And the event is at Calvary Church in Winter Park.
Okay.
And it starts at 10 and will go till at least 2:30. Again, there'll be quite a lot of resource tables. In addition to, we have one of our Narcan providers going to be able to be there to provide that out at no cost to those that are able to attend it and want that. So,
Very
cool. So we'll have quite a lot of resources. It's going to be a fun-filled day. And again, this is just the beginning. Although we've been in the process since November 2018, this is just the beginning.
Right. And this is truly being part of the solution.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I just see blinking over there.
When's the recovery walk? 'Cause it's the 28th, I believe, right? And it's like Yola
The
again.
following Saturday. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
It's the following Saturday. It's so exciting in our community that we have so many amazing events. We have the Recovery Symposium, September 21st. The next Saturday, the Recovery Walk at Lake Eola. If you've never been to that, you need to show up. We need to be able to really have a voice and bring a voice so that, again, when we're focused on recovery, then we're helping with stigma.
Right. Show your care, man. Show that it is possible as well for those of you in recovery. Yeah, Trinity.
What final thoughts? I guess.
Yeah, man.
I guess. I think I'm going to piggyback off of what David said, because when he said it, it struck me a little bit, because I am one of the ones that I don't have recovery in my world. I guess I'm not. I've never dealt with addiction myself. Nobody in my immediate family does. And none of my coworkers I ever kind of bonded with did. So I was relatively ignorant prior to meeting you and getting into this world.
Mm-hmm.
But I like to consider myself proactive, and I like to be prepared. And you mentioned, it hasn't, but it might. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the thing. Is I think a lot of people will look at it and say, "Well, I don't have it." Maybe you don't. Maybe you are one of, like myself, who really just doesn't have it.
Right.
But you might.
Right.
I mean, look at me now. I'm surrounded by it, and I have children. And if I want to be the best father that I can be, I got to be prepared for everything. And so if my children do want to experiment, or they start messing around in the drug world, I need to know how to handle that and how to give them advice. Or if they come to me and one of their friends is hurting and one of their friends is dealing with it. Right. I don't want to look at my child ever and tell them I don't know how to help you. And so in order for me to make sure I don't put myself in that situation, I got to get involved and educate myself on topics that I might not think involve me now, but they will. So I want to. That was a good point, man.
All right, thanks. All right, final thoughts. And listen, here's the sad truth. The sad truth is that most people suffering from the disease of addiction are completely unrecognizable to you. You don't know. They're right next to you right now. And you don't even know how bad they're suffering. I mean, you don't know the thoughts of suicide, the thoughts of just wanting to just end everything, the total desperation, the total helplessness and hopelessness that they're feeling. And yet they're sitting right next to you, and you just know them as a funny, happy-go-lucky friend. They're there for you whenever you need to help cut a tree down or whatever. You just don't even know the desperation that's happening with that lady that you're complaining about, at the DMV, of how she treated you, but you don't know that her right now, she's going to go home and her child is completely dying of this disease of addiction. Everyone you're running into could probably talk your ear off about some sort of story they're experiencing or some sort of feeling they're experiencing. It's that bad. It's that serious. You can be part of the solution. Please come to the symposium. Please come to the recovery walk. And if you can't be there, like Trinity can't be there because he just refuses to change his vacation around it. It's just not that important to him. It's not that important to him because he's not in recovery. That's what it is. It's just not that detailed. But can you share it? Can you share it? Can you, we're going to post it here. Can you share it? Can you share with the Now Matters More Foundation post so you can let other people know, maybe I can't go, but you can. Maybe you're not in the city. Maybe you're not in Volusia County. Maybe you're not in Orange County. But can you share it? Because somebody on your list may be, or at least they may find out from their county officials, hey, by the way, I heard Florida's doing this. What are we doing? What are we doing? I would love to hear what they're doing in your area. We'd love to highlight that on this show. This show is not a Florida show. It's everywhere show. It started as a Florida show way back 20 years ago, but we have people that watch and listen from all over the world. So please, be part of the solution. If you know of something that we may need to look into, share it. I remember when Marissa was the first one to bring up needle exchange, from New York. She brought it up like 8 years ago.
Yeah.
And now Florida can finally do needle exchange, and we'll be looking into that, doing it right here in Central Florida. And she brought it up like 8 years ago. So thank you very much for everybody for listening. Adios, amigos. It's time for a taco. Goodbye.
And that was without even a single drop of rum.
That was awesome.
He really grows on you, doesn't he?